And there's a great new documentary film that documents the 2019 team 20 years later as they fight for equal pay. They fight to win a World Cup on the greatest stage with so many people coming at them, so much adversity, so many distractions they're able to overcome. And there's this great new film directed by Andrea Nix, and we are really excited to be able to have her joining us here today alongside Sean Fine, who directed the film as well. But we're on with Andrea right now. Appreciate you taking the time. Talk to me about your love of soccer, your connection to the game, and where this documentary, LFG, sort of began its journey.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on. And actually, Oneonta is not that far from where I grew up. I'm from Rochester, so my love of the game came from really just playing the sport. I started playing when I was little. It's the only sport I ever played. I just loved it, and I'm the same age as Julie Foudy, more or less. So watching those women take the field and do what they did, and like watching that game was kind of like transformational. I wasn't there in person, unfortunately, but you know, I just always followed it. So I thought I kind of knew a lot about it. But when the lawsuit dropped, we looked up and so these are the best women soccer players in the world, and this is what they're going through. Why are they? I didn't really know too much about anything to do with their equal pay fight. And once we started, Sean, my husband and fellow director on this, once we started looking into this, it just felt so incredible that, look, there's a lot here that people don't know about, that we didn't even know about, and it just felt like a David versus Goliath kind of effort, even though they are the best at what they do in the game for women. And so it just felt like a natural thing. This was the right moment. I felt like people's ears are to the ground in a different way about equality. We felt like the rest of the world should know about it. And they're also amazing athletes and amazing personalities, so it kind of has all the boxes to check about, like, why is this a great story? And it's really fun to film women playing some badass soccer, which is really what they're also all about. So that was just, all those things just drew me into this, to want to make this film.
Andrea Nix Fine joins the show, the director of the new documentary LFG, story of the 2019 women's national soccer team and their fight for equal pay as they compete for a World Cup. Talk to me a little bit about what it's like to hang out with Megan Rapinoe.
She's, it's kind of like, there's a song that's actually plays during the documentary where we're sort of giving a little background on her, and it's like Wizzy Wiggy, what you see is what you get, which is exactly, she comes across exactly like you see her. She's very much like, she's kind of unflappable. She's really funny. She's like just a cool person. She just has this essence of cool, and she's fiercely intelligent and very articulate. So that was also interesting to not just see her on the field, but then have her walk onto some pretty, like, Meet the Press and Rachel Maddow and, like, really just intense interviewers who really, like, she can, like, dish it politically. She can dish it on the field. She's kind of a Renaissance woman in that way. And she's a lot of fun. She's funny, and I think has a lot of respect from her teammates, and she just is able to articulate. That's one of the reasons we wanted her in the film. She's able to articulate so quickly on behalf of the women, but also in some ways not speak for them, and she speaks for herself, but she sort of also is the face of this movement for them. So she's great, and I think it was very important when we asked her to be in the film. She said, "Look, I'm in, but I'm not going to speak for everybody else. You have to ask people as individuals." So that's what we started to do.
Well, that's what's so incredible about this team in particular. There's such a collection of personalities and incredible life journeys. They won the World Cup in 2019. I remember about a month or two later, they were going on a tour of exhibition games, and they played here in Southern California at the Rose Bowl, where they, of course, team won 20 years before. So I went to the friendly. I was living in Pasadena at the time, and that morning in my local juice spot, I saw Sam Mewis. I saw Jessica McDonald, and I lost it. Like, I got really emotional. I made everyone working in the juice bar give them a standing ovation. Like,
it was,
I was so starstruck by them. And I'm glad you mentioned Megan's thought process of this can't be about me. She gets so much of the spotlight.
Yeah.
Talk to me about some of the other stars on this team who audiences now are going to watch in the Olympics and who are really kind of making Team USA their own.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's right. Like, I think when you do see Jessica walk in a room and you do see Sam walk in the room, like, you notice, right? Like, first off, they're just like, they're powerful looking people. They're powerful players. And the chemistry of who told the story for us, because we don't have narrators or anything. Our style of documentary filmmaking is we really want the characters to tell their own story, and so you really feel like it's theirs, it comes from them. And we wanted to be the right collective idea. So we had Megan, which, as we talked about already, is the sort of a natural choice, is the face of sort of this fight. But we wanted to show the every player, the player that basically toils in the professional league ranks with the hope of one day, maybe just, like if your dream comes true, to get pulled up to the Nationals. And she's a single mom. She is an incredible fighter, and was so excited. But this lawsuit dropped literally just as she got on the national team. So that's kind of intense for her to be swept into something like this after all this time. So we also wanted to show the balance of hey, they've been fighting this lawsuit, and we wanted to show how much work that they put into this. This has been going on for them for decades, even before they dropped it, of their prior team. So Becky Sauerbrunn is an incredible, just an incredible individual. She's a really quiet leader for the team. You have to kind of know the team to understand how much respect she has amongst their ranks, and she has been working on the lawsuit, the CBAs, for years. Kelly O'Hara, same thing. And collectively, they always bring on a new player to sort of, hand the baton to, which is kind of great to make sure that they understand what the team mentality is about the equal pay lawsuit, about how it's like a sisterhood, that they pass it on. And so they want to have a younger player understand what it is to negotiate for their worth across the table from the federation. So they want to make sure that kind of baptize and bring into the fold someone like Sam Mewis, who's a rising star. And that's kind of a really interesting way that they handle all the choices that they're making, is that they do it collectively. They have they have 7 players who really work really hard on the lawsuit. And so I think what's really interesting is you see how articulate and how well versed they are in the law, from Becky and Kristen Press and Kelly O'Hara. I mean, I think actually someone like Kristen Press could become a lawyer at the end of all this.
Ben Lyons filling in for Rich on the Rich Eisen Show, joined right now by Andrea Nix, one half of the directing team behind LFG, the new documentary celebrating the women's soccer team of the United States in 2019 that fought for equal pay. So what's the status of the team right now with USA Soccer as they go over to Japan? They had a tough start to kick off this Olympics, losing, which is not something they normally do, to Sweden 3-0 the other day. What's the status of the team right now in terms of their working relationship with their employer?
Well, I think like anything with a lawsuit, you can settle at any time, right? So what happened at the end is that the judge sort of split the lawsuit in half, and they settled on the working conditions, but the equal pay lawsuit side of things continues. And they're still fighting it in an appeals process, and according to them, they're going to go to the very end of wherever it takes. They believe in it so, and that they, could they sit down at the table at any time? Yeah, they can. But history says that's complicated for both sides, and I think both sides would really love to come to some kind of conclusion about it. I think we would love to have been able to show that in the film, because I think it shows possibility on all fronts, not just in the soccer world, of how you kind of compromise and get where you're going, but still, these women want to continue this until the very end. And I believe in them. I think you can see through the film that they kind of give jet fuel to this whole idea for a lot of women across the world, not just female athletes, but women all over. So they carry that fight on their back. So I think it's hard. It's like going to work every day in an active lawsuit with your boss, but you're working right next to him, and you need their support for you as a player, right? But so they have, and the federation needs the players. So as they say, we're the only game in town for each other. So I hope it ends well for both of them, honestly.
The new film is LFG, all about the women's soccer team, but you worked over the years with athletes like Lindsey Vonn, and I'm just curious, as a filmmaker and a sports fan, when you watch games, when you watch the Olympics, are you looking for stories to tell? What is it that draws you as a filmmaker to the world of sports?
It's interesting. I think sports is tricky because, we do lots of other stories besides sports. So the thing is, it's got to be a great story, and all great stories start with great characters. So that's really where you start. You start with someone who is in the midst of something transformational, has the ability to come across emotionally and kind of bring you into their journey. And that's the exact same case we have with these women on this story. So I think you're always looking for somebody whose journey is going to take you inside of something amazing, and that they're able to sort of share their perspective and have it be relatable to someone, like circumstances that, let's say, when you watch this film, you don't know anything about soccer or you don't know anything about the law. We welcome you in because I think as an audience you'll come out better versed, but really feel like emotionally moved. Like I think cinema is an emotional ride ultimately. So that's really what we look for, and that's one of the reasons we felt like these women were the perfect, subjects to go through this journey with.
It's a great documentary. It's a great way to honor what these women have to overcome in order to just fulfill their dreams as professional soccer players. And I was really inspired by it, as I was by the '99 team way back when. So I appreciate you taking some time, Andrea. Best of luck.
No, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. I enjoyed speaking with you.
The film is LFG, available now. I think about the women's soccer team. They're the best team we have in the United States in any sport. They're the most dominant.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.